Welcome to Share Talk, the only podcast where investors come first.
Stock market and oil prices gave back some of their recent gains last week, with plenty of uncertainty still remaining on the international macroeconomic front due to virus-related demand concerns. Domestically, the main issues now are coronavirus and its economic impact, Brexit and the no-deal possibility, which will soon come into focus, plus whatever the BLM protests and counter-protests might turn into over a long hot summer. It all makes for interesting and potentially dangerous times. Moving on, there were a couple of grumbles last weekend regarding negative coverage of companies. Just to clarify, these blogs and associated podcasts cover the news being issued by the more speculative oil and gas companies each week. Some issue good news, some issue mediocre news, some issue bad news, and some pretend that their bad news is good. It's different to the other blogs and podcasts because I don't accept compensation from the companies, so I can say it as it is, and I don't pretend news is exciting or positive when it isn't. I'm genuinely independent and simply state the truth as I see it. I'm really wrong. I'm sorry if anyone doesn't like my commentary, but it's the reality of the news which the companies issue. If you're looking for solace, there are plenty of other commentators retained by these companies to soothe your financial pain. But you'll only ever succeed in the markets if you can handle the type of uncomfortable truths that I provide and adjust your approach accordingly. I know about this stuff because I've been deeply involved in the small cap speculative markets since the early 1980s, both in the UK and the US. I understand exactly what everyone is doing and precisely what their agendas are. My particular focus is on the oil and gas industry, where I have significant experience, but I also understand fully how the game is played in all the other sectors, whether it's mining, pharmaceuticals, technology, or any other area. The modus operandi with all of them is just the same. On to the company news. Union Jack Oil announced the acquisition of an additional interest in the Russell project. It's buying a further 12.5% for £500,000. Most importantly, because it's only maintaining this current market capitalisation due to the upcoming West Newton drill, Union Jack says it remains in a strong financial position with current cash reserves in excess of £5.5 million and fully funded for its existing drilling, testing and development commitments on all of its projects during 2020. Among other small-cap companies with UK interests, Angus Energy announced that prior approval has been obtained for the installation of processing facilities at the Saltfleet B site. Egdon Resources announced approval by the Oil and Gas Authority of their farm-out to Shell, and Europa Oil and Gas announced the acquisition of a further offshore island licence. A busy week for Bahamas Petroleum Company, which announced both the award of a petroleum licence offshore Uruguay and the acquisition of Columbus Energy Resources in an all-share merger. The latter was not received well by the market, and the share prices of both fell sharply. It's looking more and more like the Bahamas drill may be purely promotional. Regarding Columbus, it's fascinating that VSA Capital was saying to retail clients that it was worth over 20p, yet when it came to the crunch, they were happy to advise the SERP directors that tuppence a share was fair and reasonable. You see why I sometimes can be cynical. Hurricane Energy announced the departure of founder Dr. Robert Trice. It's a sorry saga for those investors who believed, but you see this so often, with the share price ending up lower than it was before the initial drilling success. It's one reason I believe these types of shares really are only for buying and selling over a time frame of a few months, and not for holding longer term. As I said it would, PetroTal announced a placing. It's raising £14.1 million at 10p, with warrants attached. It's far from out of the woods yet, though. The contingent liability to Petroperu was approximately $43 million at end May, and the production facilities at Britannia are having to be pledged to Petroperu in respect of that. Plus, there are further obligations to suppliers of approximately $49 million, excluding the contingent liability. It does still have its fans, the very ones who were vehemently denying the existence of the supplier liabilities until last week. Next foul up by management, I guess Petroperu just takes the field from them under the pledge. Full-year results were announced by Tower Resources, loss of $2.7 million, Raybould Resources, loss of £4.3 million, and Echo Energy, loss of $13.5 million, with nothing exciting in them. Managements of this trio have lost their shareholders substantial amounts in recent years. These, however, are relatively serious companies compared to Nostra Oil and Gas, which announced an operational and corporate update. After years of supposed effort and millions upon millions raised to finance the oil and gas equivalent of a corner shop, which every other operator in the area can somehow make a good living out of, Entog still can't even pay its overheads. Same as others, it's just an endless share price decline, with financings at ever lower levels. To cap it all, though, Anglo-African Oil and Gas entered into another death spiral financing to pay their directors' salaries. It doesn't even have a business to provide hope to its shareholders. Are these the sort of companies you want to invest in? There are always a few good ones, but most are not. And even with the good ones, there's only a relatively short window of opportunity in which gains can be made. Understanding this is what it's all about. It's no good being stuck in losers and supporting them tribally, watching your money drain away. You need to get out of them, get into those with actual immediate potential, and make sure to turn your paper profits into cash while they're still there. I've written a 10-part trading course which explains everything, for those who want to understand how these companies and markets actually work, and how to make money out of them. Details are at allnewslondon.com/course. I also write a private blog each week, covering my actual trading ideas and other matters. Details of that are at allnewslondon.com/subscribe.
Thank you for listening. Remember to visit our website for more news and other podcasts at www.share-talk.com.